that when we are streaming or we are promoting something, it's that because we want to sell something. It sounds
Except
redundant.
for we don't want the tone to come off
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily like that. So it's
yeah.
one thing I'm thinking too, if you go live stream route is like an AI, like take away all the customer and client stuff and think about us as a group. And I've worked at offices where you have a runners club, a yoga club. What if we just had like an internal AI club where we geek out about these things, but we do it in a live place? So it's the four of us get together and we talk about, maybe we do a little preparation of what we're going to talk about. I'm happy to play with that too. Or we each kind of bring a subject for that day. So once a week we meet on Twitch if we're I don't want to also put anyone in the situation where they don't want to
I
be
like
online,
it.
if we're willing to put our faces out there or just I think that could be an interesting way for us to just have a club where we can talk about the stuff so that we are actually kind of staying up on things. Because I think even I have slipped from being like on top of things
Yeah.
AI wise, but I think we need that excuse to be on top of things if we're going to position ourselves as on top of those things. So why not just instead of doing the Zoom meeting like this, we do it on Twitch and we do this exact same thing and are mindful and mind our language around our clients and things like that, but just keep it more in the realm of like, I'm looking at 11 Labs' new voice API and I played with it last night and this is what I learned about it. Let's talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Guys, we're live on YouTube right now, actually. I don't know if you guys.
We're live in here?
Yeah. Yeah, this
No,
is
you kidding.
this is it. We're doing it live. That's how I'd roll now. We don't just talk about things, we're just doing them, right?
That's the
And
new
so
thing?
I mean,
that's the new thing. We just
how
move
to do
fast
what
and
we're
break
doing
shit and
is
we're
very
doing
Doing
it.
meta.
it?
So
How to
we're
create a
all live.
YouTube channel from scratch.
How the
That's what this is
fastest
about.
restaurant in the world. You haven't even ordered it, and it's there.
It's there. We're live right now talking about going live.
That's why
So
we are the best.
I have no problem. Yeah, I have no problem with it. I think blocking off an hour and planning to really be there and really go live and then keeping it super informal and everybody can just throw out a topic and we'll dive in and we'll try to do a zap or we'll try to do a thing. I wish we could use actual client work. Like I've been dreaming about that. Like, what if I just record myself working? I mean, people do that. I just saw on Twitch, there's this whole like co-working thing where just people show cameras of themselves at work.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that.
you do, Vinny?
Yes.
You
Is
do
there
that?
a kind of way I can
So you
stay
don't feel lonely?
focused? Yeah.
Well, we maybe what we should do is just
Dude, you do that?
have a
That's
Zoom
coming.
meeting. Why don't we just go live every day? I'll just go live and you guys can jump in and out. We can all just be on co-working and say hi to each other and distract each other. No, it's cool. I that's great. So, but yeah, even if we want to be sensitive about using client work, it's also not that often that I'm literally doing zaps. A lot of my work that I do every day now is just communicating. So I will need to come up with some use cases to build out, but I've got a lot in the
Well,
brain and
look
we've
at it
come up
this
with
way
many
too.
lists,
Look, I think I said this in a private message to you, but like I personally think it's really important that the way you do this is really enjoyable to you. And I know that it's enjoyable to you to have more free time in your life, right? So I get that, but I think
It's
you
true.
need to actually see the act of doing the going live or
This in a
filming
private
yourself.
message. Like I personally think it's really important.
Oh
Harry,
God, I hate hearing my own voice.
we hear your audio.
But I think it's super important that you actually genuinely enjoy talking about that thing, and it's not like I only like talking about it because I need to get it done by the end of this week. That to me isn't
Yeah.
tonally gonna come across as the kind of content that to me is attractive. Like, great, I'm watching someone get their work done. Like, I'd rather it not feel
Yeah.
that way,
No, we
or
should definitely, but there are things that I do for work that are actually that I do enjoy. Like when I get into the weeds of like setting up a Zap or problem solving and integration or even like automating workflows in Infusionsoft or whatever, like I can train on those things and talk about them as I'm doing them very passionately. I think I find them that that does scratch an itch in my brain. I don't think I have a problem with bringing a little like pizzazz to automation work. But
But maybe you need to build something that would be helpful to be built, but that it's not specific to a client.
Maybe the thing we do is mostly focus on our own
Sure.
shit.
That would be a good question, like for people that's watching now. You know, it is if we are a company that we are trying to create channel with a Twitch, it's good to have our own Twitch for each one, or having like a company Twitch where we can all like jump whenever we want and just record. You know, if you're not using it, maybe Joseph is not there, and I was gonna jump and just, you know, this is the Harry's hour, and then Biddy wants to jump with me because she sees now I'm there and she wants to talk about, you know, like what Harry's working today, and you know, like having this like you said, that these camps that people is watching, you know,
Yeah.
the Big Brother stuff, you know, it's just turning like a Big Brother. People
Totally.
people enjoy that, you know, like people don't want to feel, Billy was right. People don't want to feel alone, and that's why they like that. And I think that's very interesting, you know, like being like we are your companions of your everyday. You know, every day we are with you, we work with you.
It's parasocial is the term, right? It's
Yeah,
parasitic
Parasocial.
social. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
but I
part of
think
the part of magic.
And I think that I just wanted to just remind, like, you know, I know that getting the work done for clients makes you happy, and I know that there are things that you enjoy doing, but I think it just has to serve you in a way that isn't, you know, like it serves your soul, not necessarily your, you know, maximizing your hours in the week, or like, you know, like you get to spend more
Yeah.
time with your family. I get that that should be your number one passion, but your number two hobby should be like, but I love like going online and talking about this. And I'd almost prefer it not be hyper technical if there's something that you are more sincerely like interested in talking about. Um,
Hmm.
so I just want you to feel like it isn't work when you do it. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make, which is that if you are trying to get other people's work done, or it's an excuse to get work done and it's just like
Yeah.
a solving two birds, that doesn't feel like a hobby to me. That feels like maximizing efficiency to a point
Yeah.
where, you know, you're not going to get joy out of the actual process. So whatever it is, even if it's not hyper technical about Zapier or something, just to I don't know. To me, I think that's what is needed for the long game. Like if you're going to play this out over a
Mhm.
year, 2 years, 3 years, sustainably, you have to really like what the fuck you're talking about. Because
That's
and is it going to
true.
always be X, Y, and Z, or is there something more meta about this topic, especially for like maybe when we do webinars and learning sessions, we can be more, you know, it is work because it is
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you know, what builds your credibility in that space is maybe talking about these companies, talking about like the competitive nature, you know, and that will attract other automators as well. Like,
Yeah.
why did I switch to Make? Why, you know, like why did I use Make for this? Or
Yeah.
I think that stuff is worthy of you thinking about in your free time. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily have a bottom line thing, but it does show you are building your own credibility up. It shows that you are on top of industry news. You are looking at competitive automation companies. And even when Chris showed us this new voice thing, I'm like, I just learned about 11 Labs' new voice API, and that's pretty like, wow. And then here's something I've never seen before that also might be that. And now it's like, if I was to advise somebody on what's the best voice API, I can't, I sincerely don't think I would be able to tell them um, so are we really the experts? Not until we are. You know, I don't know. You still need to read that article from 11 Labs and you need to test out the API. You need to see another YouTube video of someone showing an example of it so you actually
Yeah.
know what it looks like.
All right. Look, I think the goal is we go live an hour a week. Apart from that, I will try to just do more like small snippets of content, Harry, to keep sharing and keep social media feeling full and to like, just get thoughts out, Patrick, like what you're saying, like just what am I thinking about as a person in my role? What do I think about automation and AI? How is it all coming together? What's the trends? What's interesting? What do I worry about? I'll just try to get it all out. And then when we connect every week, let's just let's just have interesting conversations. Let's just talk about new things we saw or what we're interested in. And if the conversation leads to, hey, why don't we try to do this thing that I was thinking about?
Right.
It will only be because we were thinking about it because it was interesting to us anyways. We don't need to like, let's not even, I have enough things banging around in my head that it's like I don't think we need to like list out like, oh, what strategically makes it. Let's just get
Yeah.
on, get in the practice of going online like we are right now, live on YouTube, W's in the chat, and then and then just having the conversations, you know? And if some nuggets of gold, whether it's topics or actual snippets of video that could be reused come out of that, awesome. If not, whatever. But we're live and we're there and we're showing ourselves, you know, so we'll just see where it evolves to. I think that's fine.
It shows a willingness to put ourselves out there and
Yeah.
put our name to our business, what we do, and so that builds credibility. And then also I think actually something I like about influencers that influence me or that I just like watching, even if it's
Yeah.
something that's nothing to do with anything I'm actually interested in, is if they like what they're talking about. I think
Yeah.
when somebody is genuinely enthusiastic about whatever it is, like I watch these guys, these violinists in Australia for ages, two-set violin, and they're just classical. I have no interest in the orchestra world or violins, but they're just the perfect vessel to understand what is that subculture, what is that,
Yeah.
And I think it's comes down to like I am interested in watching someone review a movie that they love versus I reviewed a movie because I hated it, like what,
Yeah.
why, I want to see someone who actually loves the stuff they're talking about, and I think that's
Cool.
super doable for you.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
can do that. We'll
and I
just
think
we'll keep it fresh.
people want storytellings. People wants to connect. They're looking for that because we're lonely times. So these are lonely times. So
They are
people
lonely
wants to
times,
connect
Harry.
that. So even when you're talking, like, I was working this morning with Patrick, and this happened. So when we show up, and then people, it's just like your family. You begin to create familiarity with those people, and
Joseph is
then
so big brother. He has such a big brother energy. Like he totally has that.
because
Ah,
You have so many 16-year-olds loving everything you do.
go do my chores, you
that's
dorks.
it's changing. It is because it is what it is. It what's happened with YouTube. It what happened with Twitch. What happened with TikTok. It's just that
I
you
think
can do
it's good. I think this is good. This is a good suggestion. Um, I do want to just, yeah, I want to make sure that I can't resist this urge, Patrick, to like say how do we make sure this hour like is useful to move things forward in some
I
way,
think
but
that's
maybe that's just what
counterproductive.
it
I
is.
think that's the counter way of
It
thinking
just
about
needs
it.
to be it just needs to be community. This is the beginning of building community. We just get
In which case you
together
just have to
and we
do that.
talk.
Yeah,
We just get together and talk. All right.
I
Um,
think so.
then I like it. Should we
Have
find
fun,
it?
right? I think the way that you win on this mathematically is that you genuinely are having so much fun that you would do this
Yeah.
instead of going out for drinks with somebody. Like that's the point I'm trying to make is that if
Yeah.
this feels just like fun, then it's not then it shouldn't feel like why am I not fitting work into this space?
Yeah.
And which means that I'd rather not even talk about AI or automation if that's not where the love is. Luckily we all do like what we do, or we like systems, we like processes, we like efficiency, we like making things, and so I think that's fine, but I'd sooner have you talk about Wagyu furniture, if that meant you were going to talk more sincerely with like an enjoyment about it, um, than anything else. So
All right. Well, that would be my next thing. The
Wagyu
the, the
furniture.
wabi sabi furniture live stream from my garage.
I was thinking Wagyu like Wagyu beef, wasn't
Wagyu beef.
I?
I would love some Wagyu beef as
Some
well, but
beef furniture.
also, in the meanwhile, we need to think about the next webinar, and that would be just like what people wants about the new webinar. What do people want to hear about?
what are the people asking for? That's the question. We need to go to like search insights or use some smart tool
Perplexity, let's say
like
what?
Perplexity to know like
Yeah.
what I did a pretty good research. I think I pinned it somewhere where I had a conversation with GPT about what are the top challenges for like small businesses for automation. Like what things do they struggle with trying to automate and make efficient? And I had a good list. many of the things we do, really. Some of them not
There
so
are
much.
there are some challenges in Make that they publish so people can accomplish them. So maybe we can try to do one of those.
Ooh, cool. I like that. They have like are they gamified a little bit? Like, hey, try to do your like you
Yeah,
complete a challenge, you get a badge or something.
yes, and there some
Nice.
of them are like prizes. I remember getting an email about that.
That would be fun to do one of those one time,
Mm-hmm.
like a online challenge. Harry, one day we could log in and you could pull up Suno and we could make a jingle for Automaton. Like that would be fun.
Of course, that would be interesting. That would be interesting, and even how to generate a prompt for a music that you want. And meantime, you can talk about music. You remember this band that sound like like Killers? Let's make some like kind of test with this prompt. But you can go and chat GPT and ask it for a prompt. I want that my song sounds like the Killers.
I love it.
And then you give
There's
you
a
a
weird thing with Coldplay going on with Gen Alpha. I don't know. Like Dorian is coming home singing Coldplay now, like all the time. I don't know how Coldplay has become like
They did that with Apple Music. They
it's like
forced their
retro.
album
Like
on everybody.
it's
it's the new
crazy.
queen, man. It's the new queen. It's just like it's a
I guess it might be like, oh, this is retro music or whatever. But I'm here for it. I like the early
Awesome.
albums.
It's a classic, man. It's a classic, man. I don't like them. I'm not particularly fan of them. I mean,
Yeah,
but
but you probably didn't hear the first the you didn't get them in the good album
oh yeah,
thing.
I did. Dude. That was
What's the first
yeah.
album of theirs that you know?
Before Parachutes was the
All right.
first album.
Yeah, okay.
Was
Yeah.
Parachutes. We have Yellow.
Barry's more of a music snob than anybody, guys.
Yeah, and they have like Trouble. You can
Yeah.
never come to trouble.
See, you remember the songs.
Yeah, I remember that was the first one, and they became very famous. And
Indeed.
indeed,
All right,
indeed.
guys. Well, I'm gonna go because this day is pretty much over. Um, but I appreciate you all. I think again, the webinar was a huge milestone, and I'm proud of this team for hitting it. Have a lot of lessons to learn, and I think this new direction is good. It's gonna take time. We got to keep these clients things moving. I appreciate you, Patrick and Vidi, for like moving a lot of client work forward still. I think we have some irons in the fire that we need to keep moving. Proposals, Patrick, that we could touch base on tomorrow if you have time.
I should have time tomorrow, yeah.
And then yeah, let's do it. Let's do this community thing. It'll be a lot more fun. I do think about it that way, Patrick, is like it would be way more fun to wake up and think about like what kind of entertaining and informative and interesting video we could make today than it would to be like, oh, this client is stressing me out with this demands of this
And I've
change
put
of
this thing on
branding or
myself where
whatever.
I have to also make a video today, and now I feel like I can't do both, so I gotta like maybe, oh no,
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
say, as we go into the Kenyan thing and we pitch this chatbot or whatever, like there is something about like what I think is the primer to even talk to them, like and say, why aren't we suggesting a big software build out? Like I think that actually might be. So I posted in the internal business development thing some webinar ideas from Perplexity based on search, like people searching. And I mean, obviously real world applications, but what gets me is actually ethics and compliance, and not necessarily like ethics and compliance, but there are things that people just don't yet understand with generative AI. And I
Yeah.
think that there's something about explaining when you need a software solution or a bigger thing versus what we can do. And I actually think that creating that differentiation through the lens of not necessarily ethics and compliance, but like how to properly actually use AI without fucking up, without risking your business. Because I think that is the barrier to the most basic users of this kind of stuff, is people either too afraid to use it because they don't trust its results or don't know how to trust or not trust yet what
Yeah.
that calibration. So talking about that might be a really good starting place.
Yeah. Interesting for next topics.
That's what I
Less
think.
technical, hands-on, and more
More like
more a
when
little
you
more
should use this,
conceptual
like
explanation.
why
stuff.
you should use this and when not to
Yeah.
use it or not to trust it, when to trust it. Just kind of, making someone feel like they're not going to just reject it because they don't understand that basic, like,
Yeah.
I should be using this, but I shouldn't be like doing it all
I
the
think we
time.
need to set up time. We need to set up, like a time or schedule how this is going to happen. Um, so maybe you can give us the time you propose to, and then we can just
Mhm.
decide if we're going to go into topics. If we're going to record this just like naturally, like we are doing, and we're going to talk like about today, what was happened this week.
Yeah.
We need to decide
I
the
think
format.
Fridays are probably the best day for me when I don't have a ton of stuff planned. Not this Friday, but maybe we start next Friday. Going
Yes.
live.
And then we can have also in mind that if we can get some interesting information or reels for people to share, that's a different thing. Because now we're discussing something and we're trying to get somewhere.
That's right.
All right, guys.
All right.
I'm out. Good
Uh,
times though. Live stream is ending. Bye.
we need to have the landing
Bye,
page.
YouTube. We love you.
The webinar, have the landing page.
Next week we're on Twitch.
On Twitch.